Welcome to Football Sunday, and you already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Today is the day. When I played in the Super Bowl, I remember waking up on that morning and thinking exactly the same thing. After all the ups and downs of the season, after a rough road through the playoffs, and after a lifetime of working so hard for this moment, finally, today is the day. In the next few moments, you'll be hearing from players who are playing in today's Super Bowl. You'll also experience inspiring stories from NFL players that are learning to live in something we call the increase. Don't worry, we'll explain it as we go. So thanks so much for joining us. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Today is the day.
I'm a big gum chewer. As soon as I get to the stadium on game day, I put about 4 or 5 sticks of gum in my mouth, and I chew it for maybe 2 minutes, and then I go get another 4 or 5.
I always have my headphones on, and I listen to various music, a lot of Christian music, I listen to some R&B and country as well, so smooth stuff.
I just remember watching all the games when I was a young kid with my friends' houses, you know, just going to their houses and sitting there and just wishing and praying and hoping that I'd get to a Super Bowl one day. Whether to watch one or to play in one. Obviously, to play in one would be nice.
When the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl, played the Steelers, and just got together with a few of my best buddies, and we had the whole smorgasbord. We had all kinds of bad stuff to eat.
And so we would always get together, our youth group, and we would have like Super Bowl parties, and it was kind of like all of the youth group kids are hanging out and doing their own thing with a football game in the background.
We all have events in our lives when our perspective changes. For the guys on the field today, just playing in the biggest game of their careers will change the way they view everything from here on out. I want to introduce you to an NFL player whose perspective on life has taken a radical turn. Brandon Marshall is a Pro Bowl wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. And ever since he's entered the league, he has proven that he is one of the best. But Brandon's personal life has not always been an easy one. As a matter of fact, he's gone through some life things that are way bigger than football.
Where I'm from, football is a way of life. It's like the culture. There wasn't basketball, there wasn't soccer, there wasn't baseball. So I can't even remember not having a football or not being a part of the game. It's like it's a part of my DNA. I remember taking a flight from Denver to Atlanta, and I had my Bible, and I guess I was trying to read it, and there was this lady, she said, "Are you a Christian?" Why would she ask this? Isn't it obvious? But the way she asked in her facial expression made me really dig a little deeper. She saw, how hesitant I was, and she said, "You know what? Just pray for clarity." So for 4 years, I began to pray for clarity every single day. I was in the most dysfunctional relationship, dysfunctional marriage ever. It was horrible. You have two people who really love each other but couldn't get it right. And my wife, she just wasn't happy. I just thought a man was supposed to just provide. I looked around and said, "You have a beautiful house, you have a roof over your head. We can do anything we want when we want to do it. Why aren't you happy? We have money in our bank account." And I just couldn't get it. I thought that's what a man was. One day my wife came home and she said, "I'm going to church." And she's like, "Do you want to go?" I said, "No." So for a whole year, my wife would go to church with a friend, And I was so bitter. I was like, who's this person you're going to church with? You know, she doesn't know us. You know, you letting people in her business. That's how bitter I was. My wife was trying to do something really positive and change things for herself and us. And I'm sitting here worried about who she's going to church with. And I dove into the Word. I was relentless in my praying. I was relentless in my meditating on the Word. At that moment, you know, I had friends come around and say, hey, you need to really sit down and talk to someone. You know, and I found myself at McLean Hospital for 3 months, away from my wife, away from my home. I took something up there to Boston, to Waltham, Massachusetts, that I don't think anyone else in those groups took with them. And that was Jesus Christ. Every single day, every single night, I got on my knees and I just begged God for him to give me clarity. Same prayer. After a month and a half being up there, you know, it was like, man, I'm feeling something I never felt before. God's revealing himself to me in ways he never, you know, revealed himself to me. I remember having worship in my car by myself, listening to praise music. It was like, this is amazing. Like, I'm driving down the highway with my hands up, like, what is this that I'm feeling? Like, I've been praying clarity for 4 years. I've been praying for the cycle to be broken for 4 years, and it's happened. She came over to tell me that she wasn't coming home. We never even got to that part of it. We just started talking and expressing ourselves and praying. She just felt something. She was like, this is a different man. And months later, that's when she finally told me. So I really was there to tell you that, you know, I wasn't coming home. You know, so I'm just so thankful that I had a praying wife, because I don't know where I would be. I was able to call my father and say, man, Dad, you know, man, we're in this cycle, but this is how we can fix it. A year later, he ended up giving his life to Christ. My brother gave his life to Christ. My mother gave her life to Christ. My sister gave her life to Christ. We're stuck in this cycle, but we're stuck in this cycle because we don't understand the root of it. For us, we figured out what the root of it was, and that was the absence of Jesus in our homes, and now he's the center of everything that we do.
As you can see, Brandon really is an amazing person. He's known as a leader in the NFL and a mentor to a lot of young players. You know what? There's another amazing person with the story too. Are you ready for this? It's you. It's your church. It's your pastor. It's your leaders in your community and in your city. Today is the day, right? But what if today is the day for something bigger than just a Super Bowl? What if today's the day you see the world through different eyes, to see the story behind the story? Your church has already partnered with some great organizations that help meet the needs of the world, and you can get involved. It's amazing what God can do through broken people who just say yes to Him.
You know, everybody kind of looks at the height of it. They look at the Super Bowl. But the most important part that it has always been to me is just the journey.
You work hard as a youngster to get to high school to college, and college to pro.
You know, my dad and I have always talked about, you know, hey, would it be cool if you could play in this game? And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And, you know, coming out of high school, I wasn't really highly recruited, and right now it's just a dream come true, and I'm just so blessed to be here.
And it's been kind of a journey the whole way, and I feel like I have a ton of support behind me, and that really means a lot to me.
Most definitely, I would not be here without my mother. My mother is like my backbone. My father passed away when I was a young child, so
I think my mother for sure, for instilling the things in me as a child to help me know what's right, know what's wrong, know what it means to work hard, see what it looks like when somebody works hard.
My dad was the one that kind of spearheaded the whole long snapping thing. And I mean, without him and his encouragement and pushing me and helping me and being there for me, I mean, I for sure wouldn't be here.
It's of course my dad, and I told him after our first Super Bowl, that's the first thing I said to him, and I gave him a hug. I was like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, because he was the one throwing the football with me in the backyard, you know, playing catch with me.
The next story we're going to tell you is one that's very special to my family and I. Matthew Hasselbeck and I walked through some very difficult times in life together, and his friendship has had a profound impact on my life. Remember in the Bible when John the Baptist says, "He must increase and I must decrease"? That really meant something important. It meant that it's on us to make our life less noticeable so his life is more noticeable. And Matthew's learned what it really means to live a life that's decreasing so the life of Christ can increase through him. This is his story.
My dad played football. When people would ask me what I wanted to do when I grew up, I would say, I don't know, guess I'll just play in the NFL like my dad. I was drafted in the 6th round, pick 187. I can remember when I got the call from the Green Bay Packers. Andy Reid, the quarterback's coach, calls me and he says, hey, tell me what you think about this next pick. And I'm looking at the ticker and it's like Green Bay Packers, it starts flashing, and it's my name. And I'm thinking, you guys are fools. No one else is gonna draft me. I throw the phone up, I'm like, we're celebrating. I pick the phone back up, I'm like, hey, coach, you know no one was probably gonna draft me. You know, like, you didn't need to draft me. But I was fired up. I get there and I see they've got a ton of quarterbacks. But my coach came in and he kind of instilled some confidence in me that I didn't have in myself. And one of the first things he says to me, he's like, listen, you need to believe that you can be the backup quarterback for this team. He was kind of like, he was a little churchy for me. I don't know. I was just very suspicious. Come to find out through years of being with him and then, you know, seeing him go through things in his life that the dude was legit. And he was a good friend and a great teammate. I got in the elevator and I was like critical of what the chaplain had talked about. I was like, man, I'm so glad this guy that I invited said no on our team, because the chaplain's never gonna reach that guy with that kind of a message. And Trent looks at me, he's like, it's not the chaplain's job to reach that guy. It's the chaplain's job to teach you so that you can reach that guy. And I was like, whoa, really? I'm good at teaching a young quarterback the playbook. Hey, what do you do here on Fox 2X? Like, oh, dude, the play action's the whole deal. And I'm gonna tell you, 9 out of 10 times you're throwing the tight end. Unless they're in quarters coverage, you're gonna throw the post. But otherwise, you're gonna go to tight end right to the X. And I guarantee the X is gonna be open every single time. Unless they're playing 2-man on the backside, or it's press, bump, and run, then you're gonna have your fullback. And it'll be an easy gain, it'll be 2nd and 4. Like, I know that, I can give that away, I can share. And not only can I run the play, I can teach you the play. And so I wasn't at a point with my faith that I could share it in a way that I knew it. Like I knew the playbook, like I was the starter. You know, I was like a rookie. Even though I had had the playbook for years, I didn't really know it. I wasn't making disciples. I was introducing people to the chaplain and feeling good about myself. There was a moment for me where I really felt something powerful that I can't even explain. Was last year, we were at a conference type thing, and I had invited our 2 young quarterbacks. I was like, man, I hope it's okay for them. I hope they like it. I mean, I like it, I hope they like it. And they were teaching on baptism. And I'm like walking to them thinking like, hey, I was gonna tell them my baptism story about like, hey, I know it's a little, I don't know how you feel about this. And both of them and their wives said, hey, our team chaplain's not here. Would you be willing to baptize us? And I was just like, are you kidding me? God is present in all things, big or small, all the time. He can do anything he wants to do, with anyone he wants to do, through anyone he wants to do it with.
I love what Matthew said and the way he said it. I wasn't making disciples. I was introducing people to the chaplain and feeling good about myself. And if you're a Christ follower, you can probably relate to that. So for us, maybe today's the day, not just because it's a Super Bowl, maybe today's the day that we take a hard look into the mirror and ask, am I making disciples with my actions and my words? Or am I simply relying on somebody else to do it for me? Now that's a hard question, but it needs to be asked. What if today is the day that we own the deep desire of God's heart to go make disciples?
As you live life and you experience different challenges and obstacles, you tend to put limits on God and think, well, maybe that's too much for me to ask, or man, he's already done X, Y, Z, and I don't know about this situation, it's pretty tough. And time after time, God has shown me that there's nothing too big for him.
I'm discovering God to be so much more of a relational God. I think there's some times that we kind of make him this concept or this idea or just this power just so, just so far-fetched, and that we don't really grasp that he's a personal God and that he wants to be a part of our everyday lives. And he sent his son to feel what we feel, the struggles, the heartache, the pains. He sent his son to understand those things and to stand in the gap for us.
He's helped me surround myself with a bunch of men on the team that are strong Christians, and God has just been awesome in my life, and I realized how much he's been with me through my life before I knew him.
My situation is unique in that this is the second Super Bowl that I've gone to where I've been on injured reserve and knee surgeries. I think I'm discovering him to be more gracious than I ever realized. I'm not discovering him to be any type of particular person, but what I am discovering is that his grace is unmeasured.
It's all the good things and how he provides for us and how he sustains us and how he's the only reason for anything to be done. And he's the whole why of why anyone would do anything. And I think that that's true for everybody if they believe it or not.
He's a God that completely loves and is compassionate. I think that's the biggest thing that I've realized. I've had a lot of great things happen in my life. I've had some bad things happen in my life, and some ups and downs. And through it all, he's still been the consistent God that he says he is. And that's the biggest thing that you continue to realize.
So you've probably guessed by now that everyone you've heard from today is a follower of Jesus. We don't want to hide that. And if you're interested, you can watch more stories just like those at the Increase website. I guess it all comes down to this. Today we're all fans, right? And that's great. I hope you enjoy being a fan today. But I hope you don't approach Jesus the same way, because Jesus extends an invitation to follow him, not just to applaud him from a safe distance. And maybe today is the day you make a decision to follow Christ. And if you're a Christ follower already, maybe today's the day that you take another step closer, another step in your faith journey. This has been an exciting time together. Thank you for allowing us to challenge you and encourage you. Our prayer for you is simple, that you would love Jesus deeply and live for him radically so that he may increase in your life. God bless. Today is the day.
enjoy the game.